Good morning, and good morning. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, I did everything on my tablet this morning, and then I came down to my computer and it had wiped it out. So I had to do it all over again. So I apologize for my tardiness, but I had to change it to 9:05 in order for StreamYard to allow it to come in, and therefore it's also on YouTube and also on Facebook and Instagram. But trying to be there for everything sometimes falls short. I just thought, well, I don't have to do it downstairs. I can do it here. No, no. Sometimes we have to go back to what is not only routine but right. And this was the right one today. It was. So, how are you this morning? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good evening. I had a crazy day yesterday. I did my meeting, my Rotary meeting, and I ran that. And then after that, I went and spent some time with a great friend who's experiencing grief for his loss. And then I went to choir rehearsal and left choir rehearsal and went over and spent some time with some ladies in a get together meeting for young women or women. They were not, I'm not so young because I'm not young, but we had a good time. We just had a good time just trying to just let the world know that for each other that we're there. And so that was a great opportunity just to spend some time together as women of caring for other women. You know, sometimes you have to be there for other people. We don't know how it all turns out, but you know, I looked at that and I walked outside with the host, and she is truly a person that harvests. She has honeybees. In fact, there's a sign up there, a big sign, and I said, "Well, do honeybees sting?" And she said, "They will, but for the most part, you know, they're there just to make the honey." So I was just trying to, but I guess she has to put the warning out just to make sure that people aren't just, you know, staying so close to her area where the bees are you know, making their stuff, their golden honey for them to be stung. So I was talking to her, and she had other things growing, like I think it was moringa and just a whole bunch of stuff in her on her yard, and it was just pretty. It was pretty. So I know I'm not the true harvester of outside. I am not. But I am a harvester of other things like information, and I love books. And you know, it's so funny because I look around, and more things are being streamed. You know, the movies, you can't get a movie anymore uh, that you can be that have sent in the mail or even go pick up. And if you do, it's on its way out. It's the same thing with a disc. You buy a new computer, the disc isn't in there anymore because they know that that information may go um, you know, what I would say west or east, south too quickly. So now everything is streamed. And I think eventually books are going to be streamed. I don't know how they'll do it. I don't know how they'll do it, but I believe eventually books. And you know, I have a an Audible account, so some of my books I do read, you know, online, and you know, you can download them to your computer or your phone, but it just takes up a lot of space when you have all of that. But anyway, I found a poem this morning that speaks to harvest. And you know, every time, you know, I think of the fall. I love the fall weather. I do. I love going home to New York and visiting Vermont um, and Massachusetts and looking at the fall foliage. The foliage is absolutely breathtaking when you see it. It's like, wow, you know, and you just said all the different colors, the oranges, the yellows, the browns, and the green, the fading greens. I love it. And so I thought this morning, I said, man, you know, after, you know, meeting with my friend last night and thinking about it, I said, that's our word for today, harvest. How many of us have harvest so many things? and we really have too much. We really have too much, or we haven't done it enough. You know, I'm on this stream. This I guess it's like an email account for to become a minimalist. Well, I can tell you I failed. I've been on it 2 years and I haven't really worked hard at harvesting, but I want to. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm into the business of trying to just slowly get rid of things and make myself feel comfortable with knowing that I'm partly enough, and the things that are closest to me are the things I mostly cherish. And sometimes we have so many things around us, people can't get next to us. They can't, because we're too cluttered, too many things. Good morning, Maurice. Good morning. Good morning. Your two friends are traveling. That's both Joan and also Debbie. So I know you always come in and they're talking and adding different comments. So good morning and thank you so much for showing up. But I found this poem this morning and it talks about harvest, and it says, "The earth grows white with harvest. All day long the sickles gleam until the darkness weaves her web of silence, or the thankful song of reapers bringing home the golden sheaves." When you think about, the outdoors and the changing seasons, and I know we don't really have where we live, where I live, we don't really have changing seasons. The leaves may fall, but there's a lot of times they're falling and they're still green. Um, or if they do have a little bit of color in them, it's probably not going to be, anything like a pine or oak. They generally just fall and turn brown, but there's no other variations of color in them. Now, I do have a maple tree in the back. I don't know how it survives down here in the South, but I do have a maple tree, and I can see a little bit of the fall colors, but not a lot, not a lot at all. Wish that I was trying. I know that's right. I'm gonna do a little traveling next year. I can't do it this year, too obligated. But I'm hoping, like you, that I will get to do some. But you love to travel, you and Wendy. You guys are always having a good time, which I love. I love that. And I saw your mother and father-in-law's picture online is celebrating their anniversary, and I did tell them, wonderful, and congratulations on another wonderful year of being together and having fun, enjoying life. It says, yep, cruise. So you got a cruise plan for 2024. Okay. All right. Well, here's my question. What do you do while, the harvest time comes around every year? Do you throw things away? Because a lot of times people say, well, springtime is the time to throw away stuff. But fall has always been the time of harvest. I know that's when my mother used to do her baking and freezing for the holidays, and she would also do her preserving and saving that for the months that we didn't have, those summer months of all those fruits and things. So I just wonder, what do we do during those times? So what is harvest? But first I'm going to ask you, do you occasionally get stuck determining what you're going to do with all of your stuff, or do you not have a lot of stuff? There you go. Some people don't. Some people don't. It says the harvest is the process of gathering in crops. Gather as a harvest. Gather, to take in, to reap, to pick, to collect, to garner, and to glean. It's so funny because when I look at all the things that I take pride in, that I want as things that I've harvested, I'm excited about them. I used to be real excited about plants and putting down something and watching it grow and grow. But the more, and I did that while I worked for the government. And then since then, and I'm, what I was saying, should be freer as a bird. Good morning, Miss Rosie. I find, how are you, baby? I find that I do less of that. So my daughter keeps saying, so do I need to rescue this? this plant? Do I need to take it to my house? So I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better to try to do something with the plants that I do have. I have a few by the door here, and they look beautiful. But the ones I have a couple outside the door, and I'm going to do better with them. I'm going to repot them. But anyway, we for some of us as harvesters, we hoard. Do you know anybody in your family or friends that hoard? They have harvested too much. They have too many things, brought too many things into their houses. Um, I had a friend who you couldn't get in her house. You couldn't get in it, not at all. We would get to the door and we'd maybe get in the kitchen, but all the countertops were full. Even the empty chairs were full. The couch was full. And my thing was, wow, how do they live? Where do they really sit? Where do they sleep? What's their bed, room look like? I don't want to know. I don't want to know, because I used to occasionally watch that show, Hoarders, and I would just be so amazed at how people lived. But part of it is they said many people who came out of the Depression period were suffering from not having. So once they were able to get, they not only, got it, but they kept it. And then they added more to it. And so for them, it was keep it for a rainy day, I know I don't have any use for it now, but I'll have it for later. Have you ever done that? Have you ever bought something that you didn't need yet? I remember when I was really much larger than I am now, and I wanted this outfit. And I remember buying the outfit and just saying, I want that outfit. So I bought the outfit, but the outfit clearly was too small. And that when I was having my moment of clearing out, some years ago, that was one of the ones that I gave to Goodwill, because it had never been worn, still had the tags on it, and sometimes when you are experiencing, a loss of someone and you're going through your things, you realize that's what happens. I know for my mother was a clothes horse, just like I am. And right now I have 3 outfits I haven't had on yet, but I'm saving them for an occasion. Okay. I bought them and I can wear them. So it's not like the other situation where they were too small. I'm just looking for the right occasion to wear them, but I'm planning something. And so that they're for my new plans. But sometimes we still have harvested too much, So I'm going to ask you, are you a harvester or a hoarder? Harvester of a little bit of stuff or harvester of a lot of stuff? This is my main thing that I harvest is time. That's wonderful. That is wonderful, Maurice. I harvest many things to be a supplier to others. Me too. Me too. So I'm not saying that I harvest to keep. A lot of times I harvest and give away. I've done that too. I've even gotten stuff from other people and given it to someone in more need than myself. I've done that as well. So when I break my word down, the word harvest, I start with hoard. That's why it's harvest or hoard. You can harvest a little bit, but hoard is to an excessive. Okay, it's an excessive state of too much. And hoard, it says it's stock. It says it's a stock or store of money or valued objects, typically one that is secret or carefully guarded. The same person I'm talking about, she really didn't want you in her house, but in her house she had everything. She had very expensive stuff. She had very, very cheap stuff. It ran the gamut. It ran the gamut. I don't know what happened to her, because she got sick, and I don't know what happened to any of her things, because somebody had to go through that once she became ill. And that's what I worry about, can I think if I get that notice and God says he's going to call me, I'm probably going to, have fun giving away, maybe making a little money so I can go on a travel vacation like Maurice is talking about. Something. I'm going to do something with it. So hoarding really talks about having this thing called cash, which is CACHE. And that cash is also like the cash that you have on your computer when they say you have to sometimes clear out your cache in order to allow new availability for storage. That's what cache is. But there's also stockpile. You know, when they say people have stockpiled some stuff, that means they have a lot of whatever it is. It could be paper products. It could be like, okay, here's my excessive. I have this thing, terrible, for cups, but it has to be a certain type of cup. For cups and sunglasses. I have sunglasses for every single thing. Like these are my favorites right now, which are my purples. And I keep them in my little wallet pocketbook. And then I have another set that I love when I wear my browns. Then I go brown. And then I have all kinds of other ones that other people have given me or I have collected. So that is my thing. And I know you know what cash is. Yes, yes. Maurice knows what cash is for sure. It's just an interesting way of saying that it's your stockpile, your small little thing that you may do, or you may have a large, collection of certain things. It could be supplies, it could be the reserve. And I think similar to the Depression, the recent pandemic also got people into looking at stockpiling, harvesting, hoarding. Harvesting might be a little bit, for later, whereas hoarding became the absolute excessive. Remember, you couldn't find hand sanitizer, couldn't find Clorox bleach, you couldn't find the wipes, and all because people would go and until they started putting on that you can only have two. Then people realized that they needed to find out and figure out something that made them feel comfortable in being able to keep themselves safe from any virus that was out there. I love sunglasses. Okay. Oh, and certain watches, Invicta watches. Wow. Well, watches I'm good with. I don't have to worry about the sunglasses. Anybody get in my car, I got a pair of sunglasses they can wear. They're not prescription. You can wear them. When I move on, but anyway, and let me finish. Hoarding also talks about having this thing called a reservoir of things, an accumulation of stuff, a pile of stuff, a mass, and a conglomeration. My mother used to always use that word, but she couldn't say electricity. So that would always get me, the fact that she couldn't say electricity, but she can say, what's all this conglomeration over here? And which told you how smart she was. She just couldn't say certain words. It just the tongue couldn't get around those words. But when I move on in my word of harvest, I talk about ables. Who's even able to do harvesting? Who's even able to look over what it is they've already brought into their home, or brought into their yard, or to their garage, or to their what do they call those other things, like the extra houses, like what do they call them? I can't remember the name of them. It's almost on the tip of my tongue. I'll tell you in a minute. But anyway, those things that are out in your yard, that you put your lawn tools in and all of that, those things, my folks, I'm telling you, they take up a lot of things and can keep you. Hey, Lynn Thomas, my friend. How are you, my friend? Good to see you in the space. We're talking about harvesting. We started out with hoarding because some people, that's probably harvesting to the excessive. Then I'm talking about my A now, which I say I'm able to do something. Having the power and the skills, the means, or the opportunity to do something. Sometimes you don't have it. You pass over the time when you could have done it, and then it's sent off to somebody else to do because you're incapacitated and can no longer do it. But I feel that as long as you're able, when you do your harvest, you shouldn't do it to the excessive. The other thing I also have this thing of harvesting is paper. Lynn came to help me last year just to organize my paper because I write a lot, so I have things on every subject you can think of. And sometimes my computer would go back down, but I could also go back through my files. So anyway, she helped me with that last year. So those are my three things: the paper, the glasses, and the cups. But I don't particularly like these are sunglasses, but not the regular glasses. I don't care about them. But to be able to do that says you're putting in a position where you're capable. You can see what you need to do, and you're qualified to do it. You're in shape to do it, fit to do it, and prepared to do it. And sometimes, when you find like elderly people who have a lot of things, they can no longer do it. That's why they try to instill in you that if you're going to give things away, give it away while you're lucid and able to go to the people that you want it to go to. And when you're on your way out, you'll have an opportunity to say, I did what I was supposed to do. I harvested, but I gave it away. I didn't hoard it at the end. The other thing, when we move on in the word of harvest, I have reap, and it says reap, to cut or gather, a crop or harvest, to reap. That means you're going to get what it is, that you're looking for, that you set out to do. And it says that when you're reaping, you're looking at the garner of it, what you're gathering in, what the crop may be. Is it a large crop? Is it something specifically just for you, or is it for someone else? And then to reap it also talks about how do you cut it and bring it in, or how do you cut it and give it away? There are a lot of people who harvest for others, not for themselves. They have their own limitation of things that they want, and the rest are looking out for others, which to me is a very, very kind act of just pure kindness, absolute kindness. When we move on in our word of harvest, we talk about value. Most people who I have seen and gone to their homes that are true hoarders, they're not just harvesters, they're hoarders. And they put high value on every single thing, including it could be, not being able to throw away a nail that came off out of their wall. It could be not being able to throw away, the bowl for where the cat or dog ate out of, even though the dog and cat are no longer there, but they can't throw the bowl away. Those are the kinds of things that says there's a psychological attachment to what we harvest. There's a psychological attachment. We keep what we feel we need, and we get rid of the things that we don't, if we can. And there's even, I've even seen on that hoarders program where people didn't even throw out their garbage, even though it was garbage. The garbage remained in the house because it was generated by them. That's tough for me. That would be very tough. I couldn't stay, because I feel if there's garbage in my house, then there's also something crawling around coming in my house that's not me. And I don't want, so I would be very afraid of that. To receive what you have worked for, right? To receive what you have worked for. That's good, Maurice. Absolutely. When we reap something, we receive it. Okay, and we've worked for it. The value is the thing that says that the regard that something is held or deserved. That goes along what Maurice is saying too. How important is it? What's its worth? For us, we may look at something in someone else's house and say it's worthless. Someone else will look at it and say that it's priceless for them. So it's also a matter of interpretation. How do we look at things? My personal look is different than yours. I may find it to have no value. Somebody else may say, oh my goodness, I have to have this, So it also talks about what is the the usefulness of things and some things. What is the uses for them? How we use it? What merit do we give it? Some people may give it the highest merit ever. You know, it's A+ quality, 5-star, 10-star, priceless. You know, and it talks about value, talks about what's its worth. So the worth isn't just maybe in monetary value. The worth may be what's in the emotional value attached to the items, attached to whatever it is, you know, the house, the car. You know, I have a friend that they've had a car, and I think they told me their car is maybe 29 years old. They have no intentions of getting rid of it. None. They said it still works. You know, it does what it's supposed to do. It hasn't broken down on them, and it's reliable, and it's paid for. So that's how they look at it. That has value to them. Whereas someone else, every 2 years, they may get a new car. You know, they don't worry about it. I don't know about it right now because it's pretty expensive for new cars and new houses and all that kind of stuff. In fact, we were talking about that last night about the prices of homes have gone up, where the same home that somebody paid, you know, maybe $90,000, $100,000 for, you know, 6 years ago is now worth, you know, $279,000 to $350,000. That same home, they didn't do anything to it. Nothing happened, but the value, the home costs have gone up. Even the insurances. They were talking about, one of the ladies that was in meeting with us last night said that in where her daughter lives, I believe it's in New Jersey, the property taxes was $15,000. You know, I complain about what I pay. So $15,000, can you imagine? So once again, you know, it's the value that we place on things. And so if we want a house, we would look at the value we placed in it, what was required to harvest in order to get the house, and then what we harvest in order to keep the house, you know. So value talks about the merit, the worth, the usefulness, the practicality of it. And let's face it, it's practical to have a place to stay, period. Practical. I feel there's nothing like it personally. Also with value, we look at advantage. What advantage do you have of owning something versus going out and renting things? You know, I don't know. In fact, I had the water tank leaked. And I went out and I came back in, and I said, I've only been gone 2 hours, but I thought I dropped some water out of one of my fancy cups on my way out. And that wasn't true. The water, which is underneath my stairwell, was coming out of the pan, the water pan, hot water pan. And I'm like, yeah, I have a leak, so I'm trying to get it up. I went and bought a shop vac. And, you know, I'm not scared of it now anymore. I said, I don't need that. I'll just go rent it. And no, I think it's worth it. To me, it was worthwhile because it got up the water much faster than I could with trying to mop it or trying to go get something and come back and do it. Somebody brought it to me. They said, well, look, I'm right by the Home Depot. I'll pick it up. They brought it. We got it up. I got somebody in the next day to put in a water heater. Had to turn off the water that night, though. So sometimes we just realize, you know, the effort that we put in to keep what we have. To me, you know, the house has to run. So I have to harvest enough things in the house so that it will function well enough for me. Also the value, and it keeps its value. Also in value, it talks about what's the benefit of what it is that we've harvested. What's the gain? What's our profit? How good is it for us? What's the importance of it and in its significance? Well, to me, I think if you look through all the things that you have, you should be able to prioritize what's most significant, what's most important, what's the profit, what's the gain, and then of course looking at what's the loss by keeping it. If you're losing more on it than you're gaining, then it becomes, basically, something that needs to be gone, or certainly looked at in such a way differently as trying to keep it, especially if there's a large cost to it. Like the car that my daughter had that I used to help her to try to keep trying to save it. And then finally I declared it dead for me to pay any more money into it, and dead for her to ask me till we finally figured out what we were going to do. Sometimes you have to do those things. They're tough calls, especially if you got an attachment to them, or not so much as much an attachment as it is for the need. You need it. You need it because that's part of your ability to make a harvest, to make the money, to buy the things that you need in your house, and the things that you wear, and the things that you eat, and the places that you can go. So it made sense that I had to change how we were going to address it. But initially, I was like, I don't know how to do this, but eventually, in moving on in our word of harvest, I have what is the effect? What's the effect of how we harvest? Because harvest, it says in this instance for effect, it says it's a change in which is a result of any consequences that may come from your action or inaction. What's the cause? For me to continue paying money in to a car that wasn't working didn't make sense. But I had to come to that conclusion. So the effect is that it was charging me more money, and it was doing less and less, and ultimately breaking to where it was dead. And sometimes that's us. We keep working and doing things in certain areas, but we really are not effective. We're not doing anything but pedaling, going nowhere. So effect really talks about what's the result. How many of us ask the result of the things that we've harvested? How many of us were just absolutely, I won't say dying, but we yearn for certain things. I'm one of them. I yearn for certain things. And once I got it, how about the children that you have? And they have to have the latest and greatest. You buy it for them. As children, you bought everything they wanted. The bike, the this, the that. And then you find them having more fun playing with the box that it came in. That was my daughter. And then you think about, you saved up, you harvested your money, you saved up your money to get what they wanted. And the result, the bottom line is that you realize, wow, they're not even playing with it. And eventually you give it away. I would ask my daughter, you want this anymore? Never took up much time with it, the item that she claimed that she wanted. But that's all of us. She's no different than myself, even you. All of us probably can look at something in our house, in a workspace that we purchased. We don't use it. Or it became less useful. I'll put it that way. That would be a repercussion of what we purchased. And our reaction is that it has to go if we can let go of it. The end result is that it's sitting there just taking up dust, space. That's our conclusion. That's a conclusion to what our harvesting did. We had to have it, but then we realized, what good did it do for us? Okay. Moving on, the word of harvest, I have stockpile. How many of us have stockpiled certain things? Okay. Now the other thing I like is I never want to be without toilet tissue or paper towels. So I will go and buy the big ones, and because it's a better deal than buying those ones at $1.25. which is crazy because they're only giving you enough for a day. If you have people in your house, it's just ridiculous. So you're spending, you know, you need more, and it's the quality is poor, and so, and which makes you use more. So for me, I will say that I will buy, and I keep them in my cabinet in the garage, that I buy the big one from like Sam's or BJ's, and I share them. I share them with my daughter. That's how it makes it work for me. Psychologically, I said, okay, this harvest, this stockpile is a good one, but I don't stockpile everything. During the pandemic, I only tried to have certain things that I knew I needed. The wet ones, the Germ-X, Clorox bleach. And once I got it the first time, I didn't buy 16 of them, but I bought enough that I said it's going to last me a minute. And it did. It lasted me. In fact, I still have one bottle of bleach that I bought during the 2020 period. And I still have that because I don't have to use bleach a lot. I don't, but I had enough bottles of it, that made it worthwhile. And I like the real bleach. That's terrible to say, but I do. So anyway, when we have this thing called stockpile, it says it could be a large accumulated stock of goods or materials. Anybody still have things from when they were in their homes for that long period of time of the pandemic? It says especially held in reserve for use at a time of shortage, which that was, or other emergencies. So we know that it definitely, that period existed. It was there. And it says, so we stock it, we store it, we supply it. There's an accumulation of it. We might be called collectors at that point in time. There's a reserve, a reservoir, and some. Now, I always thought when you had an arsenal of stuff, of course, that means it's like even almost like a whole room by itself. I've never had anything like that. But you do find people who are serious couponers. They have rooms full of items like that. And I always thought that was really, really interesting. But I would occasionally use a coupon if somebody gave it to me. But I think only when I first got married was I all into the role of making sure I saved, 10 cents. Now it's probably much more worth it, but there's not as many coupons available. And some programs that had coupon programs have stopped them. And my last letter in Harvest says thankful. How thankful are we to even say that 1 we can harvest, 2 we can, give some away and keep some, and, or save some for a time in which we need it later on. And I can honestly say during the time of the pandemic, if I went out and somebody else said, hey, can you bring me, if you find bleach, will you bring me some? And I'd drop it by their door, or the Clorox wipes, all of that stuff. If I bought it for me and somebody else was near me and they said they needed it, I would ride by their house and drop it by and come on back to mine. So sometimes we can share. We can be grateful for what we have, but thankful for what we can give away. We can do that. It's hard to believe that it's, as they say, the season of harvest, because it looks at not just the fall weather, but there comes a period where we're moving into that period of thankfulness. I'm always thankful every day that I can say that I can see, hear, walk, sing, have this conversation. I'm very happy, very grateful. It says that I am pleased and relieved that for me, life is good, and I know there's periods where it's not been that good, but guess what? I still made it. And that's what we do. That's when we become thankful, grateful, pleased, and glad that we have the life that we have. All right. But listen, I want you all to have a wonderful weekend. Harvest something if you want to. I won't be here on Monday because it is a a holiday, and I know people will be spending time with their families. But I'm going to tell you what I'm doing this weekend. I'm going to the Jazz Fest. So I'm going to have some downtime. I got a little bit more work to do today. And then after that, I'm not on strike, but I'm on strict harvesting of music. I'm going to listen to the best jazz with all of the national recording artists coming to the area. So I have my chair ready. I have my water ready, cucumber water that is. I have that and a few snacks. I'm good. I hope I see you on next Wednesday. Please have a safe holiday, a safe weekend. Harvest something, not just for yourself, but maybe for someone else. All right? Ask yourself, are you stuck? Maybe so. And then again, you are not. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Pass this on. If you don't do anything else, share it for me. Oh, incidentally, this morning I got another notice that I am once again on the top. Today was 3% on Facebook of bringing in people to having conversations with them. So that's pretty an admirable, accomplishment, and I'm quite stoked about it. So I will certainly post something, because they do want you to post again something about what it is that you're doing. But I appreciate every one of you. I love you. Hit like, share for me. I'd love it from you. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Bye-bye.